Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Think Your Way to an Epic Life. And we are going to have a blast today because my guest, Steve, is absolutely fun and hilarious. And he's got some stuff to teach us about profit share that will make you maybe think about it a little bit differently, or at least think about it at all. Steve Radolinski, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Kara.
It's good. It's good. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So I always like to kind of start off with where you were born, and I just can't detect an accent with you.
So I was born in a interesting place called Staten Island, New York, and grew up with a absolutely great family. My grandparents were, absolutely paramount in my life. Great people. My mom had me when she was 17 years old, which made for a very interesting upbringing. So Dad wasn't really ever in the picture. But it never really dawned on me that was abnormal until I was, about 7 or 8 years old and in school. But I never let it really be a big deal in my life. My grandfather was always there for me. God rest his soul. He just passed away earlier this month. And he was always there as a father figure, always there to help me through things. So I was very lucky in that respect.
Amen. Yeah. So grandparents, don't doubt the impact that you have. Don't doubt it for a minute, yes. Because
even when the kids don't listen to you over and over again, and then in retrospect throughout their life go, oh, when they told me don't grow up too quick, enjoy being a kid. I should have probably done that.
It's amazing how smart they become as you get older.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Well, that's cool. This is a good tribute to him then.
Yes, absolutely.
Very cool. Okay, so you grew up kind of a little different than the average person.
Oh, yeah. My mom was always in my life, and she was always, the best mom she could be at the time. But she, she was young. She was probably not absolutely ready to have a kid. And, we had our very interesting relationship growing up. It was sometimes like I was the parent and she was the kid, mm-hmm. Even when I was very young, and got exposed to a lot of things early on that most kids probably shouldn't have been able to be exposed to. But again, it was everything that I experienced and went through growing up helped me be the person that I am today, and I'm very grateful for it. When I was 11 years old, I basically lived more or less by myself from the time I was 11 years old. Had to get myself up, get ready for school, do my own laundry, make my own food, things like that. So, it helped me be the person that I am.
Right on. I mean, seriously, guys, so many people would use that childhood as an excuse to say, of course I can't. This has been terrible for me. So how could you expect me to be anything more than what my mom was or what my dad was?
Mm-hmm. The other part of it, and again, I love my family, all great people, but they were all 9-to-5 workers, government employees. It was a very different upbringing than the life I'm living now. I've had to figure out a lot along the way as to what just figuring out how to be a self-employed person and invest and do all these things that I was never really exposed to growing up.
Right. And so, when guys, what you're looking at here is as if you're looking at a multi-billionaire if you had started off and didn't have to re-raise yourself.
Possibly.
Right? Possibly. And then on the other side, though, you had such an advantage over the kids who had what you may have wished at the time that you had. Mm-hmm. Right? You walked out of your house and you were already hip to the world. Nothing surprised you.
I definitely had to figure a lot out.
Yeah.
Luckily, I've always just one of my natural abilities tends to be just connecting with people, meeting people, making long-lasting friendships. That's basically been a common theme throughout my life, no matter what stage of my life I'm in. So I've been blessed in that respect.
Man, I'm relating to you at levels you can't even imagine right now because your story is very similar. to mine. And when you do that and you have these long-term friendships, you learned as a child that you had to get what you needed from adults that you didn't even know. Mm-hmm. And so how is that skill impacting you today in your business life?
In my business life, I really do take a very hands-on approach with the people that I connect with in real estate. I truly care about my clients. If you're doing this business just to get a paycheck, just go find something else to do, because unless you really genuinely care about the people that you're working with and care about getting them what they need and want, you're dead in the water.
There you go. Yeah. Mic drop right there.
Yeah.
It's true. And we both know of people who are in it just for the money, mm-hmm. and somehow they're surviving, but oh my gosh, not the way to live. It's not the way to live.
And I'm always, thank God I've been in a position for the last few years that I don't have to work for a paycheck. And I see situations where people are working for a paycheck, and I've been in those situations, and you're not at your highest integrity, you're not at your highest, because you need that money to pay your bills. You need that money to make your car payment, to make your house payment. And you're willing to give up things and possibly even do things that aren't of the highest integrity and aren't in the best interest of the people you're working with and for.
That's blunt and real. Mm-hmm. It's blunt and real. We're all humans. We're realtors and we're professionals and we're humans. And
yes.
and yeah, it is a terrible place to be. And for those of you that are working for that paycheck, believe me, your people can see it in your eyes. Mm-hmm. They can see it. They can feel it. If you don't really care about them and you care about their wallet, they know it.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of wallets, all right. So, but let me back up just a little bit. Okay. So you were in New York. How did you end up in New Mexico?
So I actually moved here with my mom when I was 13 years old. She was in a relationship with a gentleman who I didn't particularly care for, but they wanted to move out here and start a new life, so to speak. And I was out here for about 4 months, 3.5, 4 months. I absolutely hated it. I thought it was terrible. I went to a school. I won't name the school for my second half of 8th grade year. And it was absolutely terrible. It was like a scene out of a movie. It was kids walking around telling the teacher to shut up, throwing stuff, just talking over them. And the poor teacher would be just standing in the front of the room conducting their lesson, and not, every chaos was going on in the classroom. So I used that as an excuse to have my mom allow me to move back to New York. I was a bratty teenager. I was 13 years old. I missed my friends. I missed my family. I missed my comfort zone, I guess you could say.
Sure.
And so I, just pushed until I got what I wanted, and was able to move back. And so I stayed in New York till I finished out high school.
Living with your grandparents.
Living, yes, quasi with my grandparents. So it's a very odd situation. My great-grandfather had a house right across the street. My great-grandmother had Alzheimer's disease. So it was just her and a caretaker at the house. So I lived downstairs and just basically by myself.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And, I didn't 100% have to fend for myself. I wasn't like feral or anything.
Well, not like he is now.
But it was, it was no one told me I had to get up and go to school. No one told me I had to, take a shower. No one told me anything. I just learned how to do the things that I needed to do to be a human being, I guess, as an adult, but at a very young age.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. So you moved back to New York. You stayed until?
About a year after high school. So I did graduate high school. I had a 72.6 average. Woo-hoo. I was, but it wasn't for, I could have had a 96 average if I wanted to apply myself. Of course. I was just bored out of my mind. I had way more fun going out with my friends and cutting class and doing things that I thought were fun at the time, as opposed to going to school. And I never went to night school, never went to summer school, and graduated on time. I just knew what I could get away with and what I couldn't.
Yes, and you still do.
Yeah. Thank you for the compliment.
I got you.
Dialed in.
Oh, yeah, this is awesome. Okay, I'm having way more fun than I thought.
I actually enrolled myself into DeVry thinking I wanted to get into computers or something. And did one semester there, absolutely hated it. And just kind of realized my life wasn't on the best trajectory. I wasn't necessarily surrounded by the people that I wanted to be, and some of the people that I was surrounded with were going down a bad path. And I just kind of had an epiphany and just said, you know what, let's try New Mexico again. Let's remove myself from this situation and see what happens. Just took a chance.
This is blowing my mind. How old were you?
I was maybe almost 19 or just turned 19 at the time.
Okay, so you as an adult looking at 18-year-olds now, how many of them you think would have the wherewithal to say, I'm going to remove myself from this situation?
Very few. I've never really thought about it though. So it was maybe because I had to grow up so early. I didn't. It was just natural to me. I don't know. That's a very good question. I'll have to think about that a lot today.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
Well, thank you. So and the reality is, I had that option, and it wasn't. I wouldn't call it like a privileged option or anything. It just happened to be that my mom was in New Mexico. Actually, let me step back for a second. I went to Orlando as well. I had a cousin that lived in Boca Raton, who's now deceased, and she wanted me to come live with her. And I went down there, and I couldn't take the humidity, so I picked Albuquerque instead.
Day and night different, yes.
Oh yeah. So I ended up in Albuquerque again, and really didn't know anyone except for my mom. She helped me get a place with one of her friends who worked at Intel, and he worked a night shift, so it was perfect. He was gone at night most of the time, and so I enrolled myself at CNM, started taking classes over there, ended up getting an associate's accounting degree. My plan was to become a CPA, actually. But I had my daughter when I was 22 years old, so I had to get to work.
Yeah.
Get some money.
That's it. Yeah. You got a little mouth to feed, and you're going to make sure that it was different than the way you were raised.
Exactly. Exactly. So my plan was to do as much as I could at CNM because I didn't have any money, and then transfer over to UNM and finish out my bachelor's degree there. But life happened, so I had to switch gears and adapt.
I'd say you adapted pretty well. Yeah, you're doing good. Okay, so the adaption, what was the first step?
So I ended up getting my associate's degree in accounting. I went to work for Flying Star Cafe in their corporate office on their accounting team. And actually my current CPA was my old boss over there. It's a great lady. Figured out pretty quickly that I did not like doing accounting. I would get in trouble constantly for taking too many breaks, walking around talking to people. Really funny story. So one day, my current CPA calls me into her office, and she's like, "Steven, you're doing great at your job. We love having you here. Blah blah blah. But you've been late 3 times this week." And I was like, "Well, only by a few minutes." And she's like, she would do this thing where she'd go, "Okay, well, you were late 3 times, and blah blah blah." And so finally, whatever I said to her, she got so frustrated. She finally goes, "Well, what's a good time for Steven to come into work?" And I said 10 o'clock. And she goes, "Okay, you come in at 10, but you can only take a half-hour lunch break, and you can't leave till after 6. And if you're late again, you're fired." And I never got fired. I ended up quitting to get into real estate. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So you quit the job to get into real estate, or
yeah? So I was working there. I wasn't really enjoying myself. I was friends with David Roybal at the time and knew a bunch of the younger guys in real estate at the time. And so I didn't tell anybody. I just went and started doing my real estate classes. I went through CNM online because, again, I didn't have any money. So I had to go the cheapest route possible. And just took the classes, distance learning, self-paced, and ended up getting my real estate license. Again, didn't tell anyone but the gal I was with at the time because she saw me doing it. And then I got passed over for a promotion at Flying Star, and they told me I couldn't get a pay raise for another year. So I walked into my boss's office and I quit, and I started at Coldwell Banker April 17th, 2006.
April 17th, 2006. Okay. So we are 17 years past that date right now.
17 years and 4 months.
17 years and 4 months. Thank you for the correction. Okay. All right. So 17 years and 4 months, a lot has happened.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot has happened. And I started my career with Coldwell Banker too.
Yeah. Great company.
Yeah.
Wonderful company.
Yeah. They did great. So what was your career like?
Oh, so again, I said I started in 2006. So I think my first half year, I sold 13 houses, did about 60 grand in commission income in 2006.
Okay, stop right there. You've been broke your entire life, and in half a year, you made more than you had made probably in 2 or 3 years put together.
Double what I made the previous year.
Okay, so how did that feel?
Felt amazing. Felt like I was on top of the world. I was 24 years old. Everything was fantastic. Well, 25 by the end of the year, but yeah, it was great. I was in a relationship with the gal. She was making great money. Everything was great.
You were living a big life.
Mm-hmm. 2007, I was the #1 individual agent at the Paseo office. Did about 148,000 in GCI on like 18 deals. Built my business doing open houses in good neighborhoods, and was very blessed to get some great clients out of that. Actually, I have a great open house story if you want to.
Please, let's do it. Come on.
So when I got into real estate, my natural ability to connect with people, open houses was the obvious choice. I've never done cold calls. I will never do cold calls. I'm not going to just dial for dollars. I think for me, it's not the best use of time. If it works for you, great.
More power to you. I'm there
too. I like to connect with people face to face.
Sure.
And so so I was doing open houses, and I was doing open houses on Saturday. I'd do 2. On Sunday, I'd do 2. If Monday was a holiday, I'd do 2. And did that for about a year and a half, almost 2 years of my first 2 years of my career. And I got absolutely goose egg, nothing out of any open houses until I did an open house November, the weekend after Thanksgiving, which, most realtors are sitting at home relaxing or on vacation or visiting family. And someone else actually dropped out, and I filled in for them. Long story short, it was a $629,000 house up here in the Northeast Heights. I ended up selling that house to someone that walked in, listed and sold their house in January for like $314,000, I think it was. Almost double-ended it too, but didn't. We had a little bit better offer on the other end. And then I had another couple walk into the house and sold them a lot for $338,500 in North Albuquerque acres. Hooked them up with the builder, got the build for them for $700,000. Sold their house in North Albuquerque acres for $789,500. All over the course of the next few months. Then, just about the time their house was, before that, the builder that I hooked them up with ended up giving me a spec house. Then for $649,000, I think it was. Then about a couple of months before the house was done, the husband and wife that I sold the new construction to decided to divorce, and the husband ended up buying the spec house. So,
Wow.
So it was about $3.5–4 million in production over that next year, just from that one open house.
Okay. What gave you the tenacity to keep doing them weekend after weekend after weekend when all your friends were out playing?
I knew they worked.
Even though you hadn't seen a dime.
Yes.
How did you know?
Because I saw other people doing it and being super successful at it. And for me, it was, I was working, my first couple of years, I was working 70, 80 hours a week. I was in the office. My gal I was with at the time worked close by, and she had to be at work by 8:30. So I was at the office by 8:30, and she didn't get off work till like 7. So I was there till 7:30 every night, 5 nights a week, and then doing open houses on the weekends. And it's really scary when you first get in. And we got out of the training at Cultivating Banker, and it's like, well, what now? At least when you first start and you have that training class to go to, it's like, cool. But after that, it's like, well, what now? Mm-hmm. You're kind of just sitting there. And so I just chose to get in the office, connect with people, go on realtor tours. We had those all the time back in the day. Mm-hmm. Go on realtor tours, meet other realtors, go to every single event that I could. Just network. So people knew who I was. They knew my name. They knew my face. And, that's helped a long way even until today.
So all that to talk about how that impacted your profit share tree, mm-hmm. which you are the only one in our office of over 300 agents who have achieved what you've achieved. So can you explain that?
Oh, with the profit share? Yeah. I wasn't super intentional about it in the beginning. I was just, as opportunities came along, I was just kind of throwing it out there. When I left my previous company, I promised the owner that I wouldn't recruit from his company. So I didn't actively recruit, I'll put it that way. But when the opportunities came to explain and let people make their own decisions, I did that. And so I recruited a really big agent that came over probably about 4 or 5 months. I came over in November of 2015. I think he came over in April, May timeframe of the following year, 2016. And, we were just working together a lot, kind of brainstorming, talking to the agents that he was bringing over. And then, I recruited just some folks naturally. My current fiance and business partner, Sahar. I recruited, just other people as they were coming into the business. And then most recently, I recruited a young guy, and he has just been blowing the lights out with recruiting. But, I would always just kind of be there as support and help them. I wasn't really so big on going out and going after people. That just wasn't my focus. So I guess you could say just when you're recruiting, if you don't want to be a recruiter and just constantly be going, recruit someone that will do that. Because it's helped me tremendously. And I'm very curious to see once the fruition of this, because a lot of people come over and there are some deals and things like that. So once this is full steam ahead, I'm very curious to see how it works.
Oh my goodness, yes. Well, one of the things that, and it doesn't matter if you're in real estate, and it doesn't matter if you're with Keller Williams, one of the things to think about is profit share is a stream of income that you did the work for it, mm-hmm. right? You made those relationships your whole life, but you did the work for it years and years ago. And it will continue to pay you how long?
Forever.
Forever.
In perpetuity.
Even if you leave Keller Williams.
As it stands right now, correct.
Yes. That's not changing. Do not listen to him. It's not changing. It is forever. You're good.
Though, Kara, I not to shortchange profit share, because it is a big deal. And again, you just get paid for things that you did years ago. But I feel like almost everything in real estate is that way, not just profit share.
Please expand on that.
So the relationships that I made, when I was in 2006, when I was the new kid on the block. It's so important. I think a lot of realtors don't realize how important it is to create good relationships with other brokers. Way back when, I was the young guy on the block, and all the guys I hung out with were the young guys. Now, most of us are the ones in the top 20, top 50. And so because we had such a good relationship over the last 17 years and 4 months, it's helped me tremendously. I mean, that's why me and my team were able to sell average 100 houses a year over the last 3 years, is because of those relationships, 100%.
Right.
Otherwise, we would be like in the same boat as a lot of other people.
See, I think that's something, I know that's something the general public can't wrap their head around what you just said. Mm-hmm. If you can go a little deeper, how are your relationships with other realtors helpful to your clients?
At the end of the day, I always just focus on helping my clients get what they want, right? That's our job.
100%.
For better or for worse, whatever it is, as long as you're not doing anything illegal, immoral, and ethical, that's our job. And so, just networking with people and, hey, I got these listings coming up. What do you got? It especially when we're all in the same company, that helps a lot. But just really, for me, this is more a lifestyle than it is a job. It's consuming. So you have to be really careful of that. 90% of my life is real estate. I mean, I go out to bars, I go out to restaurants, I go, my fiance is my business partner. It consumes my whole world.
Of course. So real estate, it truly, I think any entrepreneurial endeavor can be truly consuming. If you're so consumed, why are you so doggone happy?
I believe happiness comes from within. I've been preaching that my whole life, and 100% honesty, full disclosure, I go through bouts just like everyone else of, self-doubt, fear, anxiety. But really the best way I have learned to talk myself out of it is pay attention to what you're thinking about. Pay attention to what you're consuming on TV, on the radio, on podcasts, on whatever. And just really, really be mindful of that, because your thoughts affect your actions, affect your life, affect everything. So just be very mindful. If you're constantly getting down on yourself, think about the good things in your life. Don't worry about what you don't have. Think about and appreciate the things that you do have in your life that a lot of people don't have. For me, I have an amazing, two amazing kids. I have two that are healthy, and I have my health. That's paramount, right? Because without health, you don't have anything.
Yeah.
I have an amazing fiance who's also my business partner. I have wonderful clients that come back to me over and over again over the years, reach out to me for advice, invite me to parties. I've been able to fabricate this life that is just, absolutely wonderful. I tell people this and everyone laughs. If my 20-year-old self met me right now, he would be like, damn, you did a good job.
How cool is that? Yeah. How cool is that? And it's like you almost want to go back to your 20-year-old and say thank you for the decisions that you made that got me to here. Yeah. Because it's all compounding. Mm-hmm. Every decision that you make is a cause set in motion. Is it a decision to go down or is it a decision to go up?
Absolutely. And there are plenty of times in my life where it could have gone either way. And thank goodness I always had good people around me. That would be my next big thing is, I know you hear it in books, I know you hear it in speeches and podcasts everywhere, but really pay attention to the people you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with people that are constantly negative and complaining, and like with real estate, oh, the interest rates are too high, so I can't sell a house. Oh, there's no inventory, so I can't sell a house. Oh, yada, 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 1,000 reasons why. Really, none of that is true. It's all an excuse, and you just need to vote. There are always people that need to move. I just went on a listing appointment the other day. These folks they have a 2.6% interest rate on their house.
Woo!
They do not want to move, but guess what? They had twin babies, and their family is all back on the East Coast, so they have to move back to the East Coast.
Yeah.
So they are. They called me up, went over their house. I'm going to be listing at the end of October. But that's the perfect example. The things you need to focus on are the things that you can control. You can't control the interest rates. You can't control the lack of inventory. You can to a degree if you want to hit the phones and make some inventory, but you can't control all these outside things. What you can control is how you market yourself as a business professional, the consistency in which you do so, the activities that you do to bring in business. You can monitor and create the life that you want with those activities. You can't change the other things. So don't drive yourself crazy.
And so many people want the life that you have without doing the work.
Who John Maxwell said, in order to have what I have, you'd have to do what I did.
And you wouldn't want it. You wouldn't.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do it.
Not necessarily. I'm sure there are some people out there, but it hasn't been easy, and it hasn't always been fun, and it hasn't always been sunshine and rainbows. We stopped off on my real estate career at 2007. I went through 2008 through 2011.
Me too.
Yeah, I just got sick to my stomach.
Just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the worst time, again, I was in my, in my mid-20s. I was loving real estate. I thought it was the greatest thing. I thought I was the next coming. 2008, in the first quarter of 2008, I had $9 million in business lined up in the first quarter between listings and buyers. All of a sudden, all the dominoes started falling. Banks, remember when you couldn't get a pre-approval letter for like 3 weeks? I think it was in like May of that year, because the banks were shutting down.
Yeah.
You couldn't even get a pre-approval letter.
Yeah, we really did have things to complain about.
Yeah, traumatic experiences.
If you did.
I think I finished out 2008 at like 4.8 million, which was great for back then.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, but I had 9 million lined up in the first quarter. Oof. So 2009, I don't think I sold a house for the first 4 months of 2009. I know realtors that were making 250, 300 a year consistently for, 5-6 years, and their income dropped to 25, 30,000, 40,000 a year. And that's gross commission income. That's not after expenses.
Yeah.
So it was quite the time. And you'd have to live through it to really know what I'm talking about. And I know there are a lot of realtors out there. I forget what the stat is, but something like only 30% of realtors nationwide have seen a down market. Everyone who's gotten in since 2015, which is the vast majority of realtors, haven't ever seen a down market.
Right.
So I hope you don't.
And we won't see what we saw then either. It was so emotional because people were losing their homes, and we were having to learn what a short sale is, and it was crazy, guys. You literally could write a full price offer on something that was listed in the MLS, and they wouldn't respond to you for months.
And a year and a half it would take to get through some short sales.
It was ridiculous. It was really, really a tough time.
So if you think selling a house right now is tough, I hope you never have to experience that.
Are you going to get out your little violin?
Oh yeah, that was fun time. So I digress. I forget where we were at.
Okay, so we were just talking. You started there. You went. You talked about how good you kicked off, and then you had to go through that. And then how did you come back out of 2011, 12? I mean, 11 was horrible too.
Yeah. I remember coming home every day in 2010 and 11. I think I sold 23 houses in 2000. It was 2010. And I just remember coming home. I think my highest sale was 350, but a lot of them were below 100. And I just remember coming home every day and feeling like I was in a boxing ring and I got the shit kicked out of me. Literally.
Yeah.
No, all the buyers were miserable because they thought they were overpaying for houses. All the sellers were miserable because they were, in a lot of cases, lost everything, lost their credit, lost everything, and it was a bloodbath. It really was.
They were having to write checks to come sell their house. They would come to the table. The highest one I had was one I did with Sandy Presley. Her folks had to write a check for $67,000 to sell their house and go away.
I got you beat, $82,000.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking,
it
know.
Was.
And you're having to lead people through that. Yeah, it was. It was. But your skills, your people skills, went up another notch.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was interesting. But 2012, I feel like kind of the tides turned again. I had my best year to date in 2000. Well, not to this date, but up until that point, 2012, I think I did about just under $8 million in sales. Had a good turnaround year there, and started to appreciate the real estate business again. Was glad I went through all that I went through to get back there. It was, and pretty much since then it's been on a steady incline. I had my ups and downs personally. I had my ups and downs in business, but it's been on a steady incline.
Yeah, it's pretty great. And guys, there's never, ever, ever a bad time to buy a good piece of real estate. So talk to somebody who can really help you get you through. So back to the profit share, just kind of tie it all up in a nice little bow. What does it mean that you're a 7th level profit share earner?
So the way you really have to get there is by you recruit someone, they recruit someone, then they recruit someone, and it snowballs. So it is, from what I've seen and heard over the years, because I haven't quite seen the benefits yet.
Right. It's
basically I shouldn't be paying Keller Williams anything anymore. And then some.
Nice.
Because that's been my goal since I came over here, is to get just to replace my cap with profit share. That was my goal.
That's very nice.
Simple, one thing. I didn't have a plan, but somehow
you had a vision.
8 years later,
you're there. Yeah. You're there.
That's another big thing. Thank you for saying that. Some people call it meditation, praying, daydreaming. I call it daydreaming. But have a vision with whatever you do. You don't even necessarily have to know exactly, have a detailed plan of how you're going to get there. But have a vision and close your eyes sometimes and picture when you get there, it's going to feel like this and it's going to look like that and you're going to be able to do this, and have those feelings go through you and just envision the life or the thing or whatever it is that you want, and picture yourself actually achieving it and feel what that feels like as often as you can. Even when you feel like you're completely off course and there's no way in hell you're going to get there, still do it.
Visualization is very, very powerful. Okay, so I was wrapping it up, but now that you went there, I have to ask you this: what do you do? What does a day in your life look like that doesn't have anything that's blowing up? I know I'm a realtor too, but I mean, like the parts that you can control, your bookends, your mornings, your evenings. What are some of the routines that you do to take care of your mindset?
So I'm definitely undiagnosed medically, but definitely on the OCD and ADD spectrum. So real estate came very natural to me because you could be working during the day and you have to stop what you're doing, switch gears, do 3 other things, go back to what you're doing, get interrupted again, handle something else, go back to what you were doing. But so my thing has been for a long time. When I wake up in the morning, first thing I do is clean everything up, like in my house, just have everything straightened up. When I leave the house, I like it to look like it's ready to show. Make the beds, do things like that. I love to get some sort of workout in, whether it be walking, yoga, gym, whatever that is. Just go and do something for myself, something for my body. And that's really it. And then I have my little get ready ritual. And I drive my fiance nuts because I like to blast music when I'm getting ready, and I don't like to be talked to, and because that's my time to game plan. That's my time where I'm like, okay, what do I need to do today? Who do I need to talk to? How am I going to handle this situation that I know is going to come up? Just take an inventory of everything I need to do and come up with a game plan.
All right. So you take care of yourself physically, mentally. What about books, podcasts, anything like that you recommend?
This podcast.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes.
I love Ed Milet.
Oh, me too.
Ed Milet is absolutely great. You can get his content for free, basically anywhere. Just good, positive stuff. Good messages. Great speakers on his podcast. Absolutely phenomenal. Incredible people that are the best of what they do and whatever they do. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend him. And really just books, whatever. I'm not a fiction person when it comes to books. I like business books. I like motivating books. What is the best one? Wealth Can't Wait. It's probably the best one I've read recently. But, Rich Dad, Poor Dad for the beginners out there. Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
Definitely staples that every business person should consume.
More than once. More than once.
That's another thing that has really hit me in the face, and I've been told this, but you never really realize until you realize, right? So when you could sit in the same room with the same curriculum and learn the same thing, and at different stages in your life, it's going to look completely different. One of my favorite bold sayings is, change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. I remember the way I came over to Keller Williams was I got invited to go to ESO, Expansion Systems Orientation. And I was considered a bigwig at Coldwell Banker, or at least, felt that way. And I was selling, 30, 35 houses a year at the time. And this was back in 2015. 2015, 30, 35 houses. And I just remember, so it was at the Phoenix Zoo, and it was Kristen Cole and Brian Gubernick were the presenters, and who are both incredibly amazing business people. And but there was every name in the book in the room. I know Brett Tanner was there, who did KW Wealth, bunch of people. And I'm sitting in the room, and first thing we had to do is stand up, say our name, what company we're with. And it was 95% Keller Williams people, and our production last year. And all of a sudden, these people start standing up, and Brian Gubernick went first, and he's like, "Yeah, my name's Brian. I have a team. We did 3.1 million in gross commissions last year." And then someone else said, "Oh yeah, we did 600 units. We did 200 units. We did 400, just all the way around the room." And I just remember sitting there going, "This is the company I need to be at." That was my motivating factor to come over here, right? And then now it's so much more. Like it was probably the best decision I ever made for my career. But now, like when we just got back from Mega Camp, I was telling people we have a real estate company, and maybe it's because there is a cap on what they take from us, right? Or what we have to give them for the privilege of working with Keller Williams. But there is definitely the aspect of go sell, go do more, go be the best realtor you can be. But it's a company that like truly cares about its agents' wellness. They want to see us be entrepreneurial. They want to help us do things not only to create a real estate business, and there's a big difference between a business or being a realtor and just going out and trying to sell houses and not paying attention to anything else, because there are numbers. It's just like any other business. You got to pay attention to your numbers. But they do such a great job of that. They care about your wellness, just everything. It's really a fantastic company, in my opinion. And anyone should be happy to work here.
I totally agree. And so if somebody is watching this and they're one of your friends that has been watching and been thinking in the background, and they've never told you that they're interested, what do they need to do?
Call me.
That's it. That's it. You're done. You'll be set up.
And honestly, I'm not gonna harass you. I'm not gonna push you. I'll show you what I've learned. One of the big ways that I've been able to help motivate people to come over here is I just throw down my my production with my numbers and show them what my gross was, what the company took, and what I got to keep. And that's just the initial, right? And then to expose them to something like a Bold or a family reunion or a mega camp. And of course, the company's more than happy to do that.
Sure.
So that we can show them the culture of the business, not just the numbers. And so please reach out if you're even thinking about it. We also have positions available on our team right now as well.
Okay, so you're looking for?
So we are looking to expand our team. We just yesterday officially, or day before last, officially hired our executive assistant, which was the next piece before we could expand.
Right.
We're a small team. We're on pace to do probably about 110 units this year, and it's me and 3 other licensed brokers. So we have more leads coming in than we know what to do with.
That is a good problem to have.
Yeah.
That is a good problem to have. So guys, this might be you. I mean, this might be you. I don't know, but at least explore it. Don't have regrets. That's all I'm asking, is just don't have regrets. Just
and you
find
don't
out.
Just have to be in Albuquerque. To be on our team, you would. But if you're interested in Keller Williams and you're watching this anywhere, reach out to us. We'll be happy to help.
Yeah. So to be on your team, you said, I just want to expand that a little bit, because you said you have to be in Albuquerque, but if somebody's in Rio Rancho or the East Mountains
yes,
or
correct.
Whatever, I mean, you could use a little hub somewhere else too, right?
Yeah, and I'll even give you my criteria for joining my team.
And that is?
One thing. By the way, read the book, The One Thing, by Gary Keller. Great book.
It's a very good book.
One thing. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about where you came from, what you look like, your sales ability, anything. If you show me that you have drive and that you're going to get yourself out of bed in the morning and that you're going to want to do this at a high level and be responsible and own everything that you do, call me.
There you go. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. That's the one thing I look for after all the interviews, all the mistakes, all the bad hires. Either you have drive or you don't. That's the one thing I've learned I can't create in someone. Either you have it or you don't.
You know
Everything else can be fixed.
That should be like done from billboards, because we have the tendency, and as young entrepreneurs, learn this. Don't do what we've done. You see somebody and you see the potential in them. Oh my gosh, you have potential. You can really make it. Come on over here. And they have the potential.
They don't have the drive.
But they don't have the drive. Mm-hmm. And that is not something you can fix.
You can't. Either they have it or they don't.
Yeah.
Everything else is fixable. Sales skills. You can teach sales skills.
Right.
Natural ability helps, but
it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt at all. All right. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for giving us your words of wisdom. Thanks for coming on. Any last words of tips, tricks for somebody who really wants to take their life to the next level in whatever it is they're doing?
Own everything you do. Stop blaming other people. Stop hanging around people that blame everyone else for their problems. Find the right group of people to surround yourself with and just own what you do 100%.
I love it. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you.